My name is Ben Keat, and I'm making another video about the reasons why we're living in this planet and what our purpose is here ultimately, and how we should be living our lives in order to fulfill our roles as human beings or people who populate planet Earth, um, rather than thinking how we're going to get by the next couple of hours, the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, the next couple of years. We should be thinking about the bigger game and the bigger program in place to help us all live a harmonious life with Gaia, our planet, and the people who are our neighbors, who are closest to us in proximity, and ultimately those who we should be considering more in our lives rather than considering only people who are miles away or people who have issues with this. The global militarization of the planet is responsible for a lot of change across the world. It shouldn't be this way. If people looked after themselves, looked after their neighbours in their own local communities, it wouldn't be that way at all. But anyway, let's leave that and let's start right at the beginning. So we live on planet Earth, and we've lived here. Let's get this right, irrespective of what the Darwin theorists say or the scientists say. Human beings have lived on this planet for millions of years, and we have been trading on this planet for millions of years. We've been traveling the world, we've been visiting new lands. There's evidence to say that Africans went to New Zealand and then traveled up, and then whatever. The tribes have traveled all over this world. They've been all over the world, to America, to from Africa, where civilization probably began, to Europe. They've traveled vast oceans. The world was also, according to certain scientists nowadays, was made up of one supercontinent called Gondwana, which split. And apparently, a lot of people say that the lost continent of Atlantis, which had possibly beings from other worlds living on the planet to create a new society in a different place. Atlantis is said to now be the continent of Antarctica, and there's a lot of technology and phenomena buried under Antarctica, which scientists are looking into to discover what beings have lived on this planet, even if there are still people living under Antarctica nowadays and making it their underground home. Um, but irrespective of all the hearsay and the semi truths or the truths that you may hear on certain programs out there in the market, let's just consider ourselves as one planet in this entire universe, which is, you know, um, alone. Say we're alone on this planet. We have a duty of responsibility to care for this planet because there's nowhere else we can go to. If you take that theory, then we could travel billions of miles and would never get to another habitable place. Now, I don't believe this for a minute. I believe, it's possible, probably even to inhabit certain areas of space without actually living on a planet. Uh, but if you don't like that theory, you're pretty well stuck here, and you of all people should be the one to decide whether we should get on with each other more or create more wars to defend our own territory and our own imperial interests. Um, I think everyone on this world who's asked that question will, irrespective of whether they're good or evil, will say the same thing, that it's important we get on with each other first and foremost, and irrespective of our differences or whatever it may be, we should always consider our neighbours first. That's common sense. I mean, Christ was the first one who came here and taught that to the world. The most important commandment that isn't in the Ten Commandments is love your neighbor as yourself. Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, if you love your neighbor as yourself, then everyone gets on. And this is the way society works on a planet. Believe if you believe that we're alone, or if you believe that we're part of an intergalactic network of beings who are involved and take action to make things happen for the betterment of humankind, or whether you believe we're alone and there's no God and when we die, we die. We still have to get on with each other. I think we've all got that in common, even if you're the biggest atheist or the biggest Christian or the biggest Muslim or the biggest Jew, you know, whatever happens, we've all got to get on. And I think that's the common thread that runs between all religions. It understands that sometimes a code needs to be written to ensure that people do get on, but some create God to be more important than, say, the general betterment of humankind. And in a world where God is good and benign and the true God of the Bible, the true God of Christ, his God, Christ Father, then there's no problem with that. I don't have a problem with God being respected as the only God and there's no other God but him. But saying that, we have a system nowadays in the world where there is so much false prophecy going on. There are so many people claiming to be the one who is the Messiah, or the one who is the one who knows everything, who can tell everyone what to do, the do's and don'ts. Um, it's quite clear to see that a lot of people are at odds with who God is anyway. A lot of people don't understand who God is. And I'm not one to lecture about religion. It's not something I go on about all the time. And anyone who's seen any of my other videos will know that. However, I do believe in a society where God is foremost and God is a true God, then we must understand that um, we must get on as a society. We must look after our neighbours. We must get on with each other. And irrespective of whether you believe in God or not, whatever you believe in, whether you believe in spirituality or the forces of nature, or even the biggest atheists look after the ecological systems on this planet. They want the world to thrive. And that's the most important thing. We're looking after the planet. We're guardians of this planet, whether it's to our own legacy, our own future. Some people believe the world's going to end in 10 years' time. They don't want that to happen, so they're doing their utmost to try and stop it happening. Some people believe that the world can heal itself, you know, but irrespective of what you believe there, it's more important that we get on with each other. It's more important that we don't cause truck with each other because of issues to do with climate or to do with the world ecologies or all that sort of thing. I mean, if you look at our neighbors, India and China, they're emerging economies. And with emerging economies, it's important they're given the opportunities to get started. And these people that put heavy penalties upon these countries and cause trade wars and start to, create difficulties so that these countries can't get on because of their jealousy or their wish that these countries don't exist as powers on this earth. It's not getting on as a global community. The global community really needs to get on with each other. Yes, we do need to look after the planet, but to a certain extent, the planet will look after itself when we stop making war. And if you think of what's destroying most of the ecologies on this planet, it's warfare, it's the felling of trees, it's mass industry, it's big corporations, it's all these things that are fed by the system that means we're not getting on as people. We're not doing the local thing and letting local communities thrive rather than creating monopolies all over the world where one person rakes all the profit, and therefore it's not quality that matters but it's quantity, and they want, and the greed and the rape of the planet and the amount of um, things in this world that are used, the resources of this world are just sucked up by the rich people in this planet, and the poor ones who can't make all these things. Agreed. We have to get on as people first. I mean, it's all well and good for President Obama and the Democrats and everyone who's opposed to Trump to stand there and go, well, what we're going to do is we're going to start a green revolution. We're going to change the planet. We're going to put all these taxes upon people who start, burning too much fossil fuels. We're going to ban diesel engines in certain cities, and we're going to do all these things to stop uh, the ecology of the planet being ruined, in inverted commas, because it's all smokescreen for an agenda. That means that they can start telling people what to do in a more microcosmic Big Brother style surveillance way. There's nothing to do with the green um, issues here at stake with Barack Obama and all those Democrats. They are purely doing it because they see this as their way of controlling the masses, and they want to do it in the microcosm. They don't want to do it in the macrocosm where basically, the general goodwill of people gets put into place by the president. They want to do it so that they can micromanage everyone into doing everything their way. And if you don't, you're for the chop. Well, you have to look at these people and you have to be incredulous about this because, like I've said in my last video, the road to hell is paved by good intentions. Well, I mean, there's so much of that going on in politics. I mean, if you can't see through that, anyone can get voted on the popular vote saying you know, we're going to ban coal-fired power stations all across the planet. They put all these sort of Paris agreements, all these sort of things in place to prevent people getting on in society and making it harder for industry to work and all that sort of thing. I agree. Certainly, it's a good initiative, but the way they're penalizing people is wrong. It should be within the community that people say, well, we don't want this incinerator here. And the community gets together and they say, we don't want something polluted. We don't want this nuclear power plant right on our doorstep. We don't want 5G being test driven right in our local community in our valleys just down below. We don't want this, that, and the other. We don't want all these you know, planet damaging things. And in the local community, if there are enough people in the local community to agree that they don't want these things, then they won't be put in place. It's quite simple. They can't go against the majority of the people. If it's not a vote winning thing, if their industrial expansion is not a vote winning thing, then if the community gets on and is cohesive, then, then there's no problem. So the planet we live in, it's a world thing, it's a shared thing. And the interconnectedness of every community within a country or within the world or within the universe, you know, is so integral to the fact that the locality is cohesive in every single case. If there's a locality, if you've got cancer in your body, I mean, you can operate on it. You can have chemotherapy. If you have chemotherapy, it kills off all the other cells in your body and kills you eventually. So, what is it you want to do? Do you cut the cancer out? Do you kill it, or do you try and turn the community around? Do you try and turn the cancer into a positive thing? It's possible for some people by eating the right foods or, you know, working with the right technologies or doing the right sort of medicines in sort of natural medicines, that sort of thing. People can overcome cancer and it can be healed. It can be turned around. It doesn't have to be cut out of the body or have chemotherapy put to you. And it's this integration of the communities. It's this the fact not only nowadays in the modern world we have the advantage. We have the internet. We have an extremely powerful tool. We have the internet. We have telecommunication systems beyond measure. We've got fantastic telecommunication systems. We've got television. We've got tools to put everything right. You don't take everything from the screen, and I totally agree with that. I can't put videos together like this without having some sort of life as well. I have to go out into the community and enjoy myself at times. And I'm not averse to having a few drinks and talking to people and having a good laugh. And I do that quite regularly, and people get to know me around the community, and they know who I am when I come, and that's fine. That's important. We go around, we get known in the community, and that is basically the nub here. People are too reliant on a synthesized knowledge from screens or the television, being told by um, you know movements or political initiatives of how we're going to change the world, how we're going to make it better. They know this is a vote winning thing, and they can play on people's minds. They know it's a way of controlling the world, and that they have no intention of making the world any better. And they know they can't. They know whatever they do, the world is going to go on turning. We're going to go on living in this world. It's going to carry on existing the way it always has existed. Sometimes there's massive change in the history of this earth. Like meteors hitting the earth, tsunamis wiping out vast populations, volcanoes pumping toxic gases that kill off virtually all the plants on the planet. I mean, this world has been through so many shifts. The pollution of this earth is it has to be a minor thing, and they call it global warming and all this sort of thing. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about that because I've talked about it already. The point is, you know, in this society, people rely on hearing it from the media. They rely on hearing all this information from the media. And we know that the media is controlled by 1% of the population. They own all the media channels virtually on this planet. And they can pretty much tell people to say exactly what they want them to say. It's so simple. For them, someone's got an agenda. They want someone to get in power over someone else. And they just push through all the media to either contradict or back up the evidence for the person they either don't want in power or do want in power. And the media is in charge of our lives. But in the local community, when there were indigenous tribes on this planet, like I said at the beginning of this video, they traveled all over the world. They didn't just stay in one place looking after their own communities. Some of them went out, not all of them, but some of them went to say, we're trying this in our community, we've got this commodity in our community. We like share. The global community works on a basis where everyone should have a home. They should have somewhere they call home. This demography that goes on the planet, people traveling all over the world willy nilly, going to emigrate to Australia, staying there, living there, not coming back. I mean, this sort of thing is not necessary. It never was necessary for vast proportions of the population to do that, and it's very damaging to the structure of the planet. It's very damaging because there's no cohesiveness in the communities. And it's more important we have this cohesiveness, but we do need the networking. We do need people. You do have to go out into your community. You do have to go and speak to people in your local community. And some of those people may have traveled from somewhere else. You may meet. I always love when I go out, I talk to the locals to a certain extent, but I do love talking to people who come a long way, or come from a different part of the world just to visit. And I say, well, I give them a good uh, ambassador role. I play a good ambassador to my local community. I want them to see that we're good people, that we're intelligent, and that we've got something to offer. And I think if people come and visit you, that's great. If you go and visit other people, you should remember you should be an ambassador. You shouldn't just be about going somewhere to have fun. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. All these people that travel, I want to have fun in Australia. I want to have fun, party, party, party. Yeah, you can party and meet people, but do it sensibly. Don't just go out and try and be this sort of wonderful socialite, or all the sort of things that modern society do at home to begin with before they go out into the world, polluting the world with, a sort of toxic view of where they come from. And people say, well, we can do better than that. We're going to go and live there and make it better. And it doesn't work. It's incohesive. You get mixed. There's nothing. I have nothing against foreign people. People with different cultures. There's a lot of people with a lot of history in this country from origins, but that's irrespective of that. It's to do with people from other parts of the world coming here, thinking they're going to land on their feet and becoming dejected, and terrorism and all things caused by resulting from disillusionment of certain races of this planet. So it's important, basically, to sum up in this world. We live in a multicultural, diverse world, but let's not forget our local community. Let's not forget that we can go out, we can have as much fun in our local community as we can somewhere else. It's just going out and being open to meeting new people. Being open to talking to people. Not being guarded, not being shut off, not being private about everything all the time. You know, I mean, some people find it easier to open up than others, but once you've opened up, the world is your oyster. You can go anywhere and you can be part of any community. It's just a process of learning, about your own, you explore within yourself and then you go and tell people what you've learned. So this is the way I think people should try and live in this world. We should live in a interconnected community hub of this planet. We should all live in communities that are interconnected all over this planet and connect us to each other. And it's important we learn from each other. And at the same time, it's important that this is mutually beneficial. We can't have everything our way at one point and everything the way of other people at other points. It's got to be a total um, cross flux of information going from parts of the world to the parts of the world where you live in.